Well, good morning. My name is Bronson, and I'm privileged to serve as the stewardship director here. And one of my roles is interacting with our local nonprofit partners. And so this is one of my favorite Sundays of the year because we get to introduce you to some incredible work that these organizations are doing. But we began this series last week with Sean sharing his dream for our city and his heart for our church to show the love of God in tangible ways. Specifically, he talked about our desire to do everything humanly possible to lead as many people into a growing relationship with Jesus as we can. So we recognize that there are tons of people all around us that are far from God, and we have this desire to see as many of them as possible have a life-changing encounter with Jesus. So we actually believe the greatest need in our city is spiritual. But we recognize that there are incredible needs around us that local nonprofit partners are meeting. And so we each year kick off efforts to give, to serve, and to love with our local nonprofit partners so that we can tangibly show the love of God in tangible ways. And so today we're kicking off that season, and so I'm extremely excited about it. Now, every year when we partner with local nonprofits, we remind you of a scripture that I'm going to remind you of again today. It's found in 1 Timothy chapter number 6. These are the words of the Apostle Paul to a young pastor named Timothy. And he says this. He says, "Command those who are rich in this present world." And let me just pause there because it's easy for a lot of us to throw a hand up and say, that doesn't apply to me. But just as a reminder, if you make a household income of $33,500 a year, you're actually in the top 5% of the world's richest people, which translates to 6.2 billion people that are less rich than you. So most of us could embrace this word from the Apostle Paul. Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. And then he says this, command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. And that's what Athens I Love You is all about. We want to be a church that's rich in good deeds, that's generous and willing to share. And so we've chosen to focus all of our energy on our mission to lead people in a growing relationship with Jesus. And so we do everything we can to create a church that unchurched people love to do. But we also, for years now, have been trying to meet needs in our city by partnering with local organizations. In fact, over the last decade, in 11 years, you as a church have given just over $2.5 million to 26 local nonprofit partners, and you should be extremely proud. That's incredible. And today we're going to take another step in that direction. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to get to meet 3 of our local nonprofit partners. But before we do that, I want you to hear from a couple in our church that has done an incredible job of being rich in good deeds, generous, and willing to share. So I want you to take a look at the screens, and let's check out the Jocelyn story.
I'm Kelly Jocelyn.
And I'm David Jocelyn.
And we've been serving with City of Hope, City of Refuge since 2018. We have picked a Be Rich project through Athens Church for several years. And then in 2018, that was the first opportunity that we had to serve with Jeff and Connie at City of Hope. Jeff and Connie made it really easy. We came in, they had everything prepped for us. We had peanut butter and jelly and bread and a little tiny shoebox of a space, but it was all well organized. It really was just a matter of making sandwiches. They would write the number of sandwiches we needed on the chalkboard, and we knew how many sandwiches we needed for that week.
It turned into basically a monthly volunteer opportunity for us that we've done now for the last few years, and it's continued to be a great experience for us every time we come in. We enjoy seeing Jeff and Connie. We enjoy everyone else that volunteers with us. It's grown exponentially just in the last few years. We're just really amazed at the work they've done, allowed us to just come alongside with them and help them out with it.
When we started, there was literally only enough room for 2 folding tables and 4 people to stand. We made the sandwiches, and Jeff had his paper bags lined up, and we would fill them with sandwiches or whatnot, and they were still delivering out of their car. Since then, the next year at Be Rich, they were given a van, and we've just watched it grow from there. The space they have now is unbelievable compared compared to where they started. Their operation has sort of shifted from a meal program that was delivered to homeless to food boxes that are delivered to families and into needy communities. They've partnered with schools all over Clark County and other counties for students that have a need, food vulnerabilities, clothing, just whatever the need. Jeff and Connie never say no. They don't say no. They're just willing to step in. They have the faith that God will provide, and ultimately He does. And it's just been amazing to watch how He's blessed this organization. I opened a bridal shop in 2019, just on the eve of COVID. Before I opened the shop, I had kind of committed in my business plan that I wanted to partner with a local nonprofit, that I wanted to give a portion of all sales to stay in the community to someone that was helping locally. And because we were already serving with City of Hope, it just felt like a natural choice. Then COVID hit. It wasn't the best time to have a bridal shop when there weren't any gatherings or weddings. And there were many months that, I'll admit, I felt like I would write the check and go to hand it over, and I had this little voice that said, what if I need this? What if I need this? It would always be turned back around on me, and the question would be, what if they need it? And the answer was always obvious. They did need it, and they continue to need it. I knew that whether or not my business survived or thrived, I would never regret a dollar that I gave them.
And when you're involved here on a regular basis, volunteering and serving, it makes it a lot easier to give our own resources and to help and to donate towards the cause, because we know they're doing good work because we see it firsthand on a regular basis. So it makes you feel better about just being involved in every aspect with your time, with your resources and finances as well. It's been a huge blessing for us to be able to serve here with Jeff and Connie and all the other volunteers. It makes us feel good about our city, feel good about what our church is doing, what Athens Church is doing, and supporting City of Refuge on a regular basis.
Well, that's awesome. In this season, we try to make it really simple for you to make a big difference. And I know from my friends, Jeff and Connie Rushing from City of Refuge, that the Jocelyn's have made a big difference by taking these simple steps. Jeff and Connie, thanks for being with us today. It is an honor to get to see behind the scenes of some of the work that you do, and not everyone here gets to see that. But Jeff, I wanted to ask you to start with, in 2019, we were able to bless you guys with a van, and I remember on the side of the van it said City of Hope, but now the name of your organization has changed to City of Refuge, and I'm assuming you haven't lost hope, but could you just tell us a little about that change?
Yes, thank you, Bronson. Yes, this past year we changed our name to City of Refuge Athens. We had the opportunity to become a part of City of Refuge Atlanta, but yes, we still give hope, we give life, and we give light, and we give transformation to Athens. And we do that. There's a term that we love to use, and that term is collective impact. And that is a group of people working together to accomplish a specific purpose to carry on and help a need in your community. And we're able to do that through our partnership with City of Refuge, through Convoy of Hope, and also through the Clark County School District. And the transformation part is our newest. We started this past week with our after-school mentor tutor program, where we're bringing kids to our facility, and we're going to help them with their homework. We're going to help them in life, but the biggest thing is we're going to bring these kids in, and we're going to let them know, hey, someone loves you, and that is what we're able to do.
That's incredible. I know that you guys have partnerships with 11 of the 18 Clark County schools, and that's just incredible. And I know that number's going to continue to grow as you do work. But Ms. Connie, would you just share with everyone that's not super familiar with City of Refuge, kind of what needs you're meeting in our city and how you're going about it?
Sure, Bronson, thank you. We assist families and children living in food insecurity by providing over 400 grocery boxes to families and over 1,000 children's food bags each week. We also distribute these in 6 different locations in Clark County, Oconee County, and Barrow County. Additionally, we work very closely, as Bronson said, with the Clark County school system to identify the most urgent needs in our community. And those needs range from providing families with hygiene items, cleaning supplies, school uniforms, backpacks, school supplies, socks, shoes, and winter coats. And additionally, we've been able to place 127 brand new mattresses and all new bedding in homes where children had no beds and were actually sleeping on the bare floor.
Yeah. I love Jeff and Connie, and I've loved hearing a lot of just the God stories of how God has provided everything from food for you to distribute, to mattresses for you to distribute, to clothing and uniforms for kids in the school system. We're actually going to have the opportunity in a couple of weeks to collect some warm clothes for City of Refuge to be distributed to children and adults throughout our city. And so we look forward to that, as well as service projects in the coming weeks. And so we couldn't be happier to be able to partner with you in the amazing impact that you're having in our city. Would you help me thank Jeff and Connie one more time for being with us and giving them a hand?
We are not so far away from the heaven we preach, from the peace on earth we seek, from the men, from the women we were always made to be. We are not so far away from the infinite riches. It's only the distance it takes to get to give from receive. Somehow it gets closer the further our fingers reach away from our palms. A mystery we don't understand even 10%. But what we get is better when we give more than we get. We are not so far away from setting our city at the tip top of the hill, setting our candle on the windowsill to let the lost know that heaven left a light on for them, and you're never too far that you can't come home. We are not so far away that we should not start running to meet the ones we've been missing while they are still a long way off. When we know full well no one was ever further from the Father than we were when He chose to draw near. So we can't stay silent. We raise our welcome signs so high we bust right through our ceilings and hit heaven's floorboards. We are not so far away that if you can't reach our welcome, well then we'll come to you. Jesus didn't ask permission before setting up His tent in our backyard, and we don't need an invitation to cross the street to see the kingdom come out of its hiding in plain sight. We are not so far away from the hand of God when we reach out to lift up the fallen. We are not so far away from the face of God when we make eye contact with our brother we mislabeled as other. We are not so far away. Heaven is just on the other side of the fence that we built, but we keep the key to open the gate. And who better to be the hands and feet of heaven when we are not so far away?
Oh man, I love that so much. Well, hey, this is my friend Jamie Scott. Jamie is the executive director of the Sparrow's Nest on Prince Avenue here in Athens. I love the Sparrow's Nest, but Jamie, I want to tell you first, I love you, man. I love you because of who you are and the story you are. You know, you're a story of the power of God. Like in your life, we've seen someone who was raised by a single mom in a difficult neighborhood, spent part of your life incarcerated, and now here you are, man, rescued and redeemed by God and making a difference in this city. It's absolutely...
That's enough to say hallelujah, amen itself, right? Thank you, son.
It is, man. It is. Now, not everybody knows about the Sparrow's Nest. There's so many amazing things you do, but obviously you work with some of the people in our city facing the most difficult circumstances, and you serve them by feeding them, by clothing them, by helping them get identification, showers, clothes, classes. I mean, so much. I mean, you guys do so many things to help people who are in really, really difficult circumstances. But Jamie, one of the things I told you I wanted to ask is really your advice today for all of us. Because one of the things we've seen in recent years is there are more and more homeless people that we interact with in our city, and we see them at intersections all the time. And honestly, we don't know what to do. We don't know the best thing to do. And so I just wanted to say, would you tell me, how do you and your family process that, and what would you encourage for us?
So, if I be honest with everyone in this room this morning, me and my wife, we don't give money. And one of the reasons why we personally don't do that, I won't tell you what to do or whatever else, because we understand that there's a couple complications to that. And one of the complications that it could bring harm, it can even bring death with the money that they use and go support their habits. And during this time, during this age, during this epidemic of substance use disorders, people are dying from fentanyl, and they're putting that through everything that's out there in the streets, from marijuana to pills to cocaine and crack and so many other things. So we personally don't give money, but we will recommend that someone go to another agency to possibly do the services what we don't provide.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things, because of Jamie's recommendation, that we've placed on that QR code, if you scan that, is 3 organizations and their contact information that you can save as a PDF in your device at any time that you have an interaction with someone, that you could make a handoff to say, hey, if help is what you genuinely want, there are organizations that are doing that. Jamie, the other question I ask you is, sometimes we've got our kids in the car when we do that. And the question becomes like, how do we even interact with our kids in that moment? It can feel a bit heartless if you're not responsive. And so just, will you give me any thoughts you have on that?
Yeah, so I've said before, one of the things that I've advised people to do is, if you want to have a little hygiene packet in a gallon Ziploc size bag in the car, that's something where you can crack the window. You don't have to let it all the way down with a Bible verse, some hygiene products, so on and so forth. That's super helpful. Or taking your kids to a nonprofit organization that is doing the work to give them that experience. But ending it on these notes right here, I believe, Sean, that in life, people make choices. Some are bad, some are good. And the choices that you actually make can be short-term or long-term.
That's good, man. Yeah, I mean, obviously, everybody faces difficult circumstances in life, right? And those affect each of us in different ways. One of the things I absolutely love that the Sparrow's Nest is doing is something you told us briefly about that last year, and I want you to give us an update on. And the way you said it to me is, we're working with homeless people specifically to give them, I love this, a hand up and not just a hand out. You're obviously serving them in many ways as well. You do that through the Clean Streets program. Can you update us briefly on how that's going?
Yeah, so we just huddle up as a board and begin to say that, okay, we want to make impact instead of being an enabling organizations. We know that there are people that comes through our doors who are in need of the things that you spoke about earlier, as far as what we do within our organization and our ministry. But one of the things that we knew that we had to do was provide some type of employment opportunities. So what Clean Streets does, it takes out 12 clients twice a week for 3 hours out of the day. We pay them cash, Sean, and we waive any type of background. We're not doing background checks on them, but we also provide the materials they need. They get a breakfast, they get a lunch, and they get some money to clean up our city.
Oh man, I absolutely love that. What a creative idea. If I understood, there's actually other cities around that have reached out about this idea. And you also told me you actually have more clients interested in doing this than you even have spots to do it. So one of the things I want to tell you, if you're a business owner or if you're involved in an organization in the city, one thing you could do, again, we put a link in the QR code, is you could sign up for Clean Streets and have them come clean your place of business, which would allow more of these individuals to be employed. And so that's an opportunity that's available for all of you. Man, I love that idea, Jamie. That is such an incredible idea. So I know last thing, you wanted to just give these guys a little thank you for last year. So I'll give you an opportunity to do that.
Man, I would like to first and foremost start off by saying, in the Bible, it tells us to give honor where honor is due. So first and foremost, Sean, with your leadership and the rest of the staff here at Athens Church, thank you for partnering with us. I would like to thank all of the people who are watching online, all the people that are in the audience today, to say thank you. Because the last time we was on this very stage right here, our mortgage got paid off, and it has meant so much to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's what I want to tell you guys.
Well, it's very mutual, Jamie, because we're doing what we feel like God's called us to do. You're doing what God's called you to do, and we get to do that in partnership together, man, to bless our city in an incredible way. So, that is two. We've got one more amazing organization we want you to hear about, so take a look at this.
So the ARC is celebrating 30 years. This year we are a nonprofit in Athens that provides emergency financial assistance to low-income families who are otherwise stable, who are experiencing a financial emergency or crisis. So at the ARC we offer rent and utility assistance. Those are the primary things we do. But we do a lot of other cool special things. We do medication assistance, transportation assistance, food assistance, just a lot of off-the-cuff things that normal agencies aren't able to do. So we can get calls from local hospitals or local schools that say, hey, I've got this family, it's an emergency. Maybe someone doesn't have a medical equipment that they need to make it through the night, so they know that they can call the ARC and we will assist. So we do a lot of wonderful things in the community that basically offer the opportunity for families to remain stable, working, and housed.
When I'm sitting down and I'm doing a budget with somebody, it's kind of one of the first things that I do. I see a lot of that struggle just in between those lines, where you've got somebody who's working 1 to 2 jobs, maybe 2 full-time jobs, maybe 2 part-time jobs, they're making it work. But at the end of that budget, there's maybe $100 or $200 left over, and we're celebrating that.
They're hurting. People are hurting. And these folks, we say paycheck to paycheck, but that doesn't really paint the picture, because there's people like me and my husband. My husband has a salaried position. We have medical coverage. I have a job here. And there are times that we live paycheck to paycheck, technically, but we're not under the kind of financial stress and strain that our neighbors are. We encourage people to get educated about the organizations that exist in the community, and just make a commitment to doing what you can to help, because we all have an opportunity here to give whatever we can and have it make a major impact in our community. Because every person that donates to the ARC, that money goes directly to helping someone financially in their community immediately. That's my wish, is for more and more people to get to know the ARC, to get to know who we are and what we do, what our impact is, and decide to be a part of that.
That's so good. We're huge fans of the ARC here at Athens Church. This is Lucy Hudgens. She's the director at the ARC, and this is Joanna Hewlin. You're going to hear some of her story in just a moment. But Lucy, a lot of people don't really understand exactly what you guys do, but I want to start with how you began and what the purpose of the ARC was from the beginning.
Yeah, sure. So the ARC started really because it was based on a mutual frustration experienced by congregations who were inundated with requests for assistance. Churches wanted to help, but oftentimes didn't have the resources available to help. And on the other side, neighbors were having to go from church to church to church asking for assistance, and churches were providing small amounts of assistance, but really didn't know if the assistance they were providing was sufficient to take care of the problem. So roughly 7 churches came together and decided that they would like to pool their resources into one ministry who could then responsibly respond to the needs of the community. So in 1989, the Ark opened on Martin Luther King Day, and we are still operating under that same mission. We're celebrating our 33rd year of service in the community and are now supported by over 30 congregations.
Yeah. You may not know this as a church, but we actually partner with the Ark. So when someone approaches Athens Church and is requesting financial assistance, we actually connect them with the Ark. And so we're thrilled to be able to partner with them in that way so that they can help get the specific help that they need, and they're better suited to do that than we are ourselves. The city of Athens, the officials have designated that affordable housing is actually one of the greatest needs in our city right now, providing affordable housing. And so I'm curious, from someone that's leading that work and interacting, what does the housing crisis look like in our city right now, and how is the Ark helping?
Yeah, sure. So we are definitely in a housing crisis in our community. As Jamie mentioned, a lot of the homeless shelters are full. But what's happening in Clark County is that there just aren't enough affordable housing options available for those who truly need it. And recently, 2 months ago, an out-of-state developer came into Athens and purchased 3 affordable housing units and greatly increased the rent by more than 40%. Making it completely unaffordable for the tenants and forcing them to either pay higher rent, move out, or experience homelessness. So Juana Hewlin, who is a great friend of the Ark, lives in one of those townhouses or one of the apartment complexes and has for over 5 years. She was paying $825 a month in rent and is now paying $1,700 a month in rent. So Juana is like hundreds of people right now who are facing either having to pay higher rent, displacements, homelessness, but the real issue is that there are just not enough affordable housing units available to take care of the new and increased need. So it's a huge concern. The Ark is responding to this issue by really stabilizing and providing rental assistance just so we can buy time for families until we can figure out exactly where we can place them.
Well, thank you for leaning in such a difficult life for so many. Juana, I'm curious, you've been a neighbor of the Ark for some time now. How has the Ark impacted your life?
Yes, I didn't know I was gonna cry, but Lucy, she's right. The Ark has been very instrumental in helping me and my 3 girls because, like she said, the developers that came in overnight, I was literally told overnight that either I paid that amount or just be homeless. I mean, they didn't give me no other options. And just, with COVID and everything else that transpired the last 2 years, I don't really have that extra $1,000 to just work into my household budget right now. And so I reached out to the Ark, and I feel like God was just like, hey, I got you and your girls. You're not gonna have to worry about being outdoors or having somewhere to go. So I thank God for Athens Church partnership with the Ark and with Lucy, just saying, hey, we're gonna help you for a little while until we can figure this thing out. So the Ark has really stepped up to make sure that me and my kids are not outdoors. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. Juana, thank you for sharing part of your story. Lucy, is there anything else that you would like to share?
Yeah, for sure. Juana, thank you for coming today. I know, now I'm gonna cry. For those of you who don't know, she is the most amazing person that I've ever met through the Ark. She is a single mom of 3 beautiful girls. She works 2 jobs and recently has had to take on an overnight shift job just to make sure that the rent is paid. And she literally just got off of her overnight shift 2 hours ago. And we've seen firsthand. So I know how stressful this has been for you, and that is an understatement. So the ARC really wants to come in and walk beside you and with you during this time. So Joanna, we are going to pay for the next 3 months of your rent. And we're doing that because I know how much you deserve to have some time just to breathe, take care of your kids, and hopefully not have to work that third overnight shift. So we got you for the next 3 months, and I love you so much.
Joanna, thanks again for sharing part of your story. And Lucy, thank you for allowing us to see this morning what you do on a regular basis and how you're helping people in our city. We're really grateful for you, and we're thrilled to be able to partner with you. Would you let Lucy and Joanna know one more time that we're grateful they're here?
Thank you.
Well, that's so special, and I'm so grateful that we get to partner with organizations like this. All throughout our city, every day of the week, there are men and women leading organizations that are doing incredible work to meet needs in our city. And we get to partner with some incredible nonprofits this year. And so I want to ask us to lean into the words of the Apostle Paul this morning, that we would be generous and willing to share. And so over the coming weeks, you're going to hear of opportunities to participate in collection efforts. You're going to hear of opportunities to serve in service projects and give your time. But specifically today, I'm going to ask you, everyone here, to give financially so that we can partner with these local nonprofits. And I just want to tell you, we have a really big goal, and we're going to need everyone's help to achieve the goal today, because our goal isn't an amount, it's actually a participation percentage, and we want 100% of the people of Athens Church to participate in this special Athens I Love You offering this morning. And specifically, we're asking everyone to give $39.95. Now, for a decade, we've been asking you to give $39.95, and we didn't even increase it for inflation this year. So you're welcome. It may feel insignificant to give $39.95, but listen, all of us collectively together, we can have a massive impact. In stories like Joanna's and all through our city, there are people who need tangible help, and we can partner with organizations to provide that help. And so we're asking everyone to give today, and if $39.95 is too much and you can't afford that, there's no shame in that at all. We're just asking you to give something. Could you give $1? Could you just participate in helping us as a church live out these words, to be rich, to be in good deeds, to be generous, and willing to share? So I'm going to pray in just a moment, and then we're going to give together. Some of you, honestly, you may be rich enough that you could give more than $39.95. In fact, some of you could probably move a decimal to the right a time or two, or maybe even 3. I don't know. But I just want you to give what God puts on your heart to give. And there's 2 simple ways that you can give this morning. On your way out, in the lobbies here in the auditorium, at the theater, on the green space, you're going to see some giving stations. And you can give by cash, by check, or by credit card at those giving stations. Or for all of us, even if you're watching this online, you can give right from your phone in just a few seconds by scanning the QR code that's going to be on the screen or in the seat back in front of you. Would you prayerfully consider joining us? And let's give $39.95, less if it needs to be, or more if you can. And let's be a blessing to our city. And let's let the motto, Athens I Love You, be known in this city for years to come, because we're a church that's rich in good deeds, generous, and willing to share. Let me pray. Father, thank you for organizations in our city that are meeting needs. And thank you that we're able to partner with them, that we're able to come alongside them to put wind in their sails. And thank you that we're able to see them meeting those needs. And I pray as we give together today, that you would use these funds. 100% of them are going to go to these local nonprofits. And we would be able to hear stories in the weeks to come of the life change that's happened because of it. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.